8 points separate Liverpool and Leicester City at the top of the table. Meanwhile, for Manchester City, after that draw against Newcastle, the defending champions find themselves 11 points adrift of Jurgen Klopp's side. Let's welcome Don into the show. And Don, let's ask you a simple question for a simple man. Is it over?
Very warm welcome to you guys as well. I think it is over. I think Man City are in for a little bit more pain when you look at their next 5 fixtures. They've got some difficult ones, and the way Liverpool are playing, I mean, especially at home, they are invincible at home. Virgil van Dijk at the weekend was just a Rolls Royce, and yes, they had a little bit of a scare towards the end of the game, but they've got so much confidence and so much arrogance being European champions. I think this is their year.
Is it over?
100%. It's over. And it's not only over because I don't think Liverpool is coming back to the pack for the reasons that Don just mentioned, but it also would suggest that Manchester City, in order for them to have any opportunity, they'd have to be perfect from here on out. And they have not given us any sort of sign or evidence that they're going to be able to do just that. So, no question in my mind, it's all done.
We've seen them blow a big lead, though, in the past, Stevie.
It's as close to done as is possible without being done. Told you before, it's not mathematically done, and certainly what Liverpool have done as far as winning games and not losing any over the last, 18 months, it seems unlikely that they're going to lose 4 or 5 games, because that's realistically, they're going to have to lose 4 or 5 games between now and the end of the season, and all the other teams are pretty much going to have to win out. It's unlikely, but I just don't think you can turn around and say it's done.
Don, how hard can Leicester push?
Listen, I think they're in the conversation. I think that you have to be fair to Leicester. And listen, they're a side that's won the league, so it's sort of, when you try and go against Leicester, you find it very difficult because they actually won the league. But I think under Brendan Rodgers' first year, I think he's done incredibly well to have them where they are. And I still think they've got it all on for top 4. I really do. I think they're playing some cracking football, but I wouldn't rule Jose's Spurs out. I wouldn't rule Chelsea out, where they're playing. City obviously in there as well, alongside Liverpool. So I think his main focus, Brendan, would be finishing the top 4. Anywhere above 4th and into 3rd or 2nd would be a remarkable achievement.
I can't believe you're asking Don about Leicester, because I do remember that when Don came on the show and we asked about Leicester and West Ham, he was all about West Ham.
Yes, that's very true.
It was.
You guys have got a good memory.
Yes, we do. So we don't forget these sort of things, Don.
We don't remember when you're right.
No, correct.
Leicester, are you scared?
No, I'm with Don. Yeah, they top 4 for them is fantastic. I don't see how they can win it. So no, I'm still looking at City as being the team that can catch Liverpool.
Meanwhile, Don, you mentioned Spurs, didn't you? What have they done differently under Mourinho?
Well, do you know, I was looking at some of the stats at the weekend, and Jose's played more long balls at any other club than he's done when he was at Tottenham. The first 2 games that he's been there, you know, he's played long balls. He hasn't tried to play balls into centre halves and playing into midfield. He hasn't overcomplicated for the players just yet. He's not, you know, hammering them with information at the moment. He's making them a little bit harder, a little bit stronger. Look at Dele Alli. I mean, he looks like an absolute superstar inside 2 games. You know, under Jose, he's got his mojo back, and it might just be a case for Dele. He had a friend in Pochettino, and I would imagine a lot of the Spurs players were Pochettino's friend. But I think you'll see a Spurs side being better off under a manager like Jose, a real, you know, tough manager that you know, he works them hard, he trains them hard. Verbally, when they need it, he'll give them it as well. So I think you're already looking like a Spurs side that have got so much more chance of finishing in the top 4.
What's he done differently, Stevie? What's the big change?
I think the big change is that Tottenham absolutely step off, win the ball closer to the halfway line, which draws the opposition further out, and then he knocks balls in behind. Or tries to hit Harry Kane, and then you've got Dele Alli trying to run through. I think it's really simple. There's no question they look like a team that plays on the break, and that suits Dele Alli. It certainly suits him with the pace of Son. And Harry Kane can run in behind, but he can also hold it up, and then everybody can join in.
If Poch was such a great manager, one of the most sought after, we're told so many times in Europe, why didn't he figure this out?
Well, because more so than the tactical approach that Steve is just talking about, I think the impact of Jose Mourinho is one of a mental one. It is the fact that he walks into that locker room for the first time, and every player in that locker room who's sitting down sits up and say, uh-oh, this is the real guy here. Jose Mourinho is the real man. This guy has been successful everywhere he's been, and they're going to pay attention. And it gets to the point to where the message coming from the same voice becomes stale, and you start to become a little bit arrogant towards it, and you start saying things like, I'm not paying attention to Pochettino anymore. That's it. I've had it with this guy. Right. You turn the page. But in comes Mourinho with a new message, a new idea, playing off some of the things that Pochettino came up short with this group of players, and going to guys like Dele Alli and challenging them and say, okay, I need you to be the real version of Dele Alli. And what we have seen from him is a player that is, if you rewind the tape a little bit, you would think that's what he was going to be, this sort of impact player. We haven't seen that for long stretches of time, but we're seeing it now. And when he's running freely out of the midfield and picking those spaces where he can pop in either in behind or underneath, he becomes so dangerous, and he changes the dynamic of this team in the attack. But the impact of Mourinho, more so than tactics, is about the mental strength of this team and what we see in their approach in playing the games the way they are.
Meanwhile, let's end with Arsenal, shall we? Of course, Freddie Ljungberg's first game in charge. It finished 2-2. We've talked so much about Arsenal and the bad squad and where it's gone wrong and Unai Emery and everything, Don. If you're going in there as a coach, what is the first thing that you do to try to fix this?
Well, I think as an interim manager, you have to put a smile on the face. You have to make sure training's good, training's sharp. You engage the players. You wouldn't want to run the players. You wouldn't want to cause any disharmony. But then if you're Freddie Ljungberg, the most important thing you do is pick the correct side. Now, playing Mustafi and David Luiz as a centre-half partnership was ludicrous in my opinion. I have never seen so many mistakes in one pairing in my life than I did in the game at the weekend. So that's an area on the pitch he has to try and figure out. He has to try and strengthen. And then he went with Granit Xhaka in midfield. So almost he went with the wrong partnership at the back and the wrong holder midfield player.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.